Good evening and welcome to the Chandler Public Housing Authority Commission regular meeting. Clerk, please poll the commission.
Chairman Harkey.
Here.
Vice Chair Stewart.
Here.
Commissioner Dearman is absent excuse.
Commissioner Dearman probably has the best excuse ever. She is delivering a baby right now.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
I had permission to say so.
Commissioner Harris.
Here.
Commissioner Lopez.
Here.
Commissioner Rowe.
Here.
Commissioner Ellis.
Here.
Commissioner Orlando.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Clerk, do we have any scheduled or unscheduled public appearances for tonight?
No, I have not received any cards.
All right, thank you. Commission, on our agenda tonight is a 3-item consent agenda. Will be your pleasure.
Chair?
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes, I move for the approval of the Public Housing Authority Commission's regular meeting for Monday, August 9th.
Second.
And we have a second by Commissioner Rowe. Commission, any questions or comments related?
Commissioner?
No.
I mean, Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Orlando.
Thank you, Chairman. There's a few questions every year we call about writing off. And I know some people look at this and say, gee, why are we writing this off? But this is pretty much baked into the cost of doing business with these type of properties. We get them every year. Sometimes they vary. So this is nothing abnormal or something we normally taxpayers pay or anything like that. So Josh, anything else you want to add to that, City Manager?
No, Mr. Mayor, members of council, that's correct, Councilmember Orlando.
So that is just pretty much routine. So
Very good. All right, Commission, please. Clerk, please take our vote.
Vice Chair Stewart.
Yes.
Commissioner Harris.
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Rowe.
Yes.
Commissioner Ellis.
Yes.
Commissioner Orlando.
yes.
Chairman Harkey.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Commissioners, and we wish Vanessa the best, and please keep us posted. And with that, I'd like to conclude our Public Housing Authority Commission. Good evening again. Next on our agenda is our study session for a regular City Council meeting. And Clerk, please take the roll of the council.
Mayor Harkey.
Here.
Vice Mayor Stewart.
Here.
Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Lopez.
Here.
Councilmember Rowe.
Here.
Councilmember Ellis.
Here.
Councilmember Orlando.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next on our agenda tonight is scheduled public appearances. And if I can invite Councilmember Orlando to join me out front, and Acting City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. We have 5 employee service recognitions tonight. And to begin the presentation, I'd like to invite John Knutson, our Public Works and Utilities Director, forward.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I would like to ask Tracy Conaway to come forward for the 15-year service recognition. Chairman of Solid Waste Division welcomed Tracy Conaway in 2006. Tracy's outgoing professional demeanor, along with her experience as a teacher and work in private sector, proved to be a perfect fit for Chandler's recycling coordinator. In this role, Tracy administers the city's recycle processing contract, managing educational efforts, tracks and reports data related to current and potential costs, markets, and diversion opportunities for our community. Tracy's knowledge and perspective makes it easy to often elect her as our division's representative for committees such as Maricopa Association of Governments. Our team also recognizes Tracy's supportive attitude and willingness to lend a helping hand, including covering customer phone calls, checking in customers at the RSWCC, and completing duties during a team member's extended absence. Tracy, we sincerely thank you for your 15 years of service to the citizens of Chandler and the department, and look forward to many more years working with you. Thank you.
Mayor, members of council, at this time I'd like to ask Kim Moyers, our Cultural Development Director, to come forward and make her presentation.
Good evening. I'd like to call up Nate Myers for his 10-year service recognition. Nate Myers is a tireless and dedicated leader among the Chandler Museum staff. He oversees the physical and archive collections, which numbers over 600,000 items. He has an encyclopedic knowledge of Chandler history, fulfilling thousands of requests for information and photos from city staff and the public. Nate was critical in the planning and construction of the new Chandler Museum. He is a co-creator of Chandlerpedia, the award-winning digital resource for Chandler history. He has supervised the conversion of Chandlerpedia into a new platform that will ensure it remains a treasure for years to come. Nate is the staff liaison to the Chandler Sports Hall of Fame and involved regionally and nationally in museum organizations, including co-founder of the Arizona Emerging Museum Professionals, a member of the American Association for State and Local History Small Museum Committee, and a former president of the Museum Association of Arizona. Congratulations, Nate.
Mayor and council, at this time I'd like to ask Leah Powell, our Neighborhood Resources Director, to come forward to make the next two presentations.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I would like to ask Vicki Ellickson to please come up. Vicki Ellickson began her employment. Vicki Ellickson began her employment on August 1st, 2011 in the Housing and Redevelopment Division. Vicki's current position is as a family self-sufficiency specialist with the Housing Choice Voucher Program, and she truly values the time she spends working closely with families seeking to meet their goals of gaining self-sufficiency. Vicki brings a high level of dedication and commitment when working with her families and has become an amazing cheerleader and coach while guiding her families toward their goals, which may include gaining employment, completing a training program, earning a college degree, or preparing to close on their new home. Vicki has a vast knowledge of community resources that help her families to be successful and to reach their goals of eventually becoming self-sufficient and successfully exiting subsidized housing. We appreciate Vicki and are thankful she is part of our housing team. Congratulations on 10 wonderful years of service, Vicki. I would now like to call up Jackie Brooks. Jackie Brooks began her employment with the city on August 26, 1996. For 25 years, Jackie has been with the Housing and Redevelopment Division as an accounting specialist. She has perfected her skills and is an expert in accounting dealing with public housing and housing choice voucher programs, in addition to CDBG and home funds. She is the go-to person for accounts payable payroll time entries, landlord payment questions, and many other transactions important to meeting federal housing requirements. Jackie has a wealth of knowledge in grants accounting and does her work very professionally and diligently. Jackie is very well versed with the Yardi Voyager and Oracle systems, which we use to manage our housing operations and finances. We are proud to have Jackie as an integral part of the housing division and proud she is part of our team. Congratulations on 25 years of service. And in case you haven't noticed, Jackie is a very big Adele fan. Thank you, Jackie.
Mayor and council, for our final presentation tonight, I'd like to invite Andy Bass, our Community Services Director, forward.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'd like to invite David McKay to come forward. David started with the City of Chandler back in 2006 as a library aide. In 2014, he was promoted to his current position of library assistant. In these past 15 years, David has been instrumental in helping with our teen program at our library. He's worked with our teen volunteer program as well as our teen programming group. Recently, David implemented our intranet for our library staff, which is a great resource. And he's also helped develop a staff training program for our library staff as well. He's currently working on his master's in library science with a focus in IT. David is friendly, he's a hard worker, and he's a difference maker. We're grateful for him, and we thank him for his 15 years, and we look forward for an additional 15 more years. Thank you, David.
Council, next on our agenda is our consent item opportunities to get clarity on a number of the items that we'll be voting on Thursday. I've had 3 items that have been called in for presentation or question. First is item number 5 with Councilmember Orlando.
Thank you, Mayor. Andy, we've had several briefings on the master plan, and we certainly appreciate all you've done and your staff, the consultant. It's a really robust plan, take us to the next 20 years, maybe, and obviously beyond. I do know there's been a lot of stakeholder, citizen input. And I know we got a letter today or over the last couple of days, Mr. Brennan, very long-time resident, as you know, planning and zoning guy. And he had some questions in regards to park facilities on Northern Chandler. Now, obviously, that was the first part of the city. It's built out. So I just wonder if you could address some of the questions he was speaking about in his letter.
Yeah, thank you. Through the mayor to Councilmember Orlando. You're correct. This has been a 1.5 year process that we've been going through with this master plan, and we've had many public meetings. And one of the things that we heard, I would say one of the top things we heard was for the desire from residents to have a park in North Chandler. And so as you'll notice in the plan, one of our, we call it a priority recommendation, is to explore options to meet park needs in North Chandler and other parts of the city as needed. And so yes, Mr. Brennan had a lot of good places that we should potentially look into and explore and see if these will fit as we move into that priority area. And so, we certainly will be when we start that process. It could be, potentially if there's private property that could be for sale. It could be retention basins. There is some property along the Western Canal. Maybe that could be a potential. But there could also be some future unknown opportunities that we don't know today. And so as we look at it, those will be all the things we'll take into consideration that we'll present to you and take your direction for.
Thank you. And Andy, so I know you've been very aggressive in getting grants and funding, and hopefully maybe there's something we could do in that area, as well as maybe flood control grants and funding that, because a lot of those, some of those retention bases obviously probably could be looked at from a standpoint of a flood control. Maybe we get some thoughts from there, or maybe even the infrastructure bill potentially, if that's down the pike, that we could help mitigate some of those areas.
Yeah, thank you through the mayor, council member Orlando. All options are on the table. We don't have details of what this looks like. We just know it's something we need to explore.
Okay, I think the important thing is we recognize it and we publicly have the discussion. It's in the record now, and so that we could work towards that objective. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Any additional comments or questions related to item number 5? I want to thank you, Andy, and your staff. We've had a long review and long work. We have a number of our parks commissioners in the back. Thank you for joining us as well. This has been and will be an important item, over the next several years, to see how can we help people get out of their homes, whether that's walking, biking, playing different sports. And I really appreciate the plan, the thoughtfulness, the input from our community, and look forward to our voting on this on Thursday.
Thank you, Mayor. Staff worked really hard. Special shout out to Mickey Olin, who was my partner in crime on this and took the lead. But there's a lot of input, a lot of staff, a lot of commissions. So thank them for all their efforts and support.
Thank you. Our next item for presentation, again, Councilmember Orlando, item number 10.
Mayor, thank you. We didn't get a chance to talk. We were going back-to-back meetings, but I'm good on item 10. Staff explained to me why the key to language. It gives them more flexibility, but yet does have the option to come back to us for any adjudication if there's an issue. So I'm good with the number
Great.
10.
Good. And finally then, item number 28, Councilmember Harris.
Yes, City Manager. Thank you, Councilmember Harris. I'd like to have Sean Duggan, our Chief of Police, come forward on this item.
Well, good evening, Mayor, members of council. Matt, can you get that photo up for me?
And Councilmember Harris, did you have any specific questions or just want a presentation?
Yeah, I wanted to, policing is a big thing in the community. And when I seen this item on the agenda, it said armed rescue vehicle. So I wanted to have a better understanding of what that is, because I do believe in policing, but I don't believe in militarized policing. And so I need to have a better understanding of what this means and how it's used and if it's used against civilians or people or how is it used within policing. So that's,
okay.
Yeah, those are my questions.
Thank you.
Sure, I'd be happy
Chief.
to explain. Just for clarification, it is not an armed vehicle, it's an armored vehicle, so there's quite a distinction. But this is a request to purchase a new armored rescue vehicle to help protect our citizens and our officers from gunfire. In fact, arguably, it's the most important piece of equipment we have in our inventory, because it is the only vehicle that provides that true ballistic protection from gunfire. And over the past 20 years, we've utilized 2 different armored rescue vehicles. The first one was a 1981 surplus Air Force vehicle we obtained in 2000. And then in 2003, we were able to upgrade to a new vehicle, which is our current vehicle pictured on the left. That vehicle was funded through grants from Department of Homeland Security, UASI funding, which is the Urban Area Security Initiative, a program that we've been a member of since 2003. And over the past 12 years, the life of the current vehicle, that vehicle has been deployed at least 600 times. over the course of the last 12 years. And that's responding to barricade incidents, hostage incidents, high-risk search warrants, anywhere where there's a high propensity of threat of gunfire. And again, mentioning that it is the only true ballistic vehicle we have to afford that level of protection. So not only does it help transport our officers closer to the threat and give them that envelope of protection, but that vehicle has also been used many, many times to extricate or rescue or evacuate citizens and our officers. The vehicle is used to bring equipment or tools, even water to officers that are out in the perimeter in the line of fire. And it's also used as a negotiator platform when we need to get our negotiators close to the scene and maybe have contact with the suspects inside. So it is a critical tool that we use very judiciously. It is not an offensive weapon. There's nothing offensive about this vehicle. Essentially, it's no different than the Brinks truck that delivers money and takes money from this building throughout the day. So the other thing that's very important, and I mentioned our city being a member of the UASI Rapid Response Team since 2003. That's a program that has afforded us funds for training and equipment that we receive every single year. But it also requires us to be part of a mutual aid compact within the Phoenix metropolitan area. So this is a vehicle that if we were called upon, we'd be expected to respond anywhere in the valley as the same as any other agency in the valley would have an obligation to respond here and assist us in tactical emergencies. And a core component of that is that we would be able to provide and bring along this level of armored protection. So our request today is to purchase a new vehicle to upgrade our aging 2003 platform.
And Chief, just, again, because I do care about, I do care that we need to have policing in Chandler. I just want to make sure that we're not militarizing our police and creating a impact. Because I look at other cities where, other policing have, militarized and have militarized equipment and things like that, and they confront protesters or people who have the right to share what they want to share. But I want to make sure that we in Chandler are not looking at this as a potential means to confront protesters or people who believe opposite of whatever we may stand for, including on this dais. So I just wanted to make sure.
Well, we've had a very similar piece of equipment, like I said, for the last 20 years. And just in the past 15 months, we've had 30 plus protests in our community. And this is not the equipment that would be deployed for any type of protest. This is a piece of equipment that is the only piece of equipment we have to protect our officers and citizens from gunfire. So if it was a high threat scenario where there's gunfire present, then we would deploy this vehicle to help extract innocent bystanders or officers and to get close to the threat so the police can do what they do.
All right, thank you. I didn't know if any other council members had any questions. We're good.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate the presentation. It begs a question for me. Do our regular cruisers have the ballistic protection that they need?
No, nothing like this vehicle can provide. It would be unrealistic to outfit vehicles similar to this piece of equipment. There are some minor improvements that are enhancements that could possibly be made to door panels, but again, it would only be protection against a very low block or for a pistol or small rounds. This vehicle not only is it designed to protect against pistol rounds, but also high velocity rifle rounds as well.
Can you provide us some information about what that door paneling or maybe even glass ballistic protection would look like from a implementation or cost standpoint?
Yes, I can get that.
Thank you.
Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the fact that you mentioned how long ago that we had a similar artillery, which is this truck for 20 years. In the last 20 years, how many times have we used this in a riot or in defense of the police against populations and those kinds of things in the city of Chandler?
Well, I can speak definitively for the 7.5 years that I've been police chief. This vehicle has never been used in a riot.
Mhm.
This vehicle is called on routinely when we have calls where there's where firearms are present. And
Mhm.
each year we have dozens and dozens of calls where firearms have been used or have been threatened to use against our citizens or police officers. That's when this vehicle will be deployed to provide that cocoon of protection.
Okay, now question number two. Will it mean that you will have two vehicles now, this new one, and then the other one is still operable?
Well,
Is
the
it?
other one, our desire most certainly would be to keep that one as a spare.
Okay.
Because right now we have one vehicle. And I believe we're the only department in the valley, or certainly the East Valley, that maintains one vehicle. So when this vehicle is down for repairs, we're without that level of protection, and
Hmm.
we are reliant on outside cities to support us.
Okay, Mayor, real quick, last one. Is this already in the budget or is it money that, where we're gonna find money to buy this?
This is funded through, already budgeted through our CIP process.
Okay, thank you so much, Chief. Appreciate it.
Councilmember Orlando.
Uh, Councilmember Ellis answered my first question about this as being a redundant vehicle. But if we didn't have this vehicle, the other one has gone down a lot. I was out there several times, and that's one of the issues you and I think chatted about a year or so ago. But the important thing is, if we didn't have this, we'd have to wait for another agency to support us, and there's a time element in that. So by having it here in Chandler, obviously on call, at our disposal, we potentially could save lives a lot quicker than if we had to call an adjacent police department to get their individuals ready to come down to Chandler. Is that a true
That is a
statement?
true and accurate statement, yes.
Well, thank you. That was an easy question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Easy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I'm also a fan of this. I think the more tools that we have in our toolbox to keep our officers and our citizens safe is certainly the wise and prudent action. And thank you for bringing this before us.
Thank you.
Council, that's all the items that have been called in for questions. On Thursday, we'll be voting on these, and we have a couple presentations brought forth by Councilmember Harris. So with that, that concludes our study session tonight. Thank you.